Welcome to the Strictly Football Podcast, where we discuss, debate, and deliver both in news in soccer and NFL football. Sitting with me is Gershom Zeller. How are you doing? Is everything okay?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited for this first podcast.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get this started. Let's go.
Let's do it. Yeah, a lot of exciting news to cover today. I think we're going to start from the obvious place, where it's the draw for the Russia World Cup. The groups were set last Thursday. And we're just going to basically go over the groups and give you our opinions on it and our just overall immediate reaction.
I think first up, I want to say, taking a quick overview. I'm taking a quick look at this group stage one more time.
Yeah.
And this obviously isn't the first time I've been thinking about this, but every single time I'm looking at the groups, I get disappointed.
Yeah. I think that's an overall feeling through the groups. I think this is one of the last World Cups where we'll see pretty competitive groups.
Dude, that's a topic for another day because it's only going to get worse from here.
Yeah, exactly.
But this first reaction, I'm taking a first look at the World Cup groups. Group A, oh my god, it just looks boring. But other than that, you have
some interesting groups
names.
Like Group F, which looks interesting. I mean, we'll get to all of these and we'll tell you guys
you have key teams who weren't able to qualify. Holland, we've known that Holland, is going to have some difficulties qualifying, but to see Italy not make it, that's a big loss.
Yeah, and you look at these teams, and these teams, frankly, they didn't deserve to get there. You look at the football that they played through qualifying and for Italy through the European playoffs. You draw with Sweden in Milan, where your atmosphere and your fans are the 12th man.
Yeah.
You don't deserve to get there. And it's an awful letdown for such a legend like Buffon to have to go out on the international stage.
You're going to make me cry. Already talking about Buffon, oh God.
Yeah.
Make me cry.
But okay, so let's get started. Group A is Russia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Uruguay. And like you said, this is a pretty mediocre, sub-average group.
Are you surprised?
Am I surprised that Russia got the easiest group?
Are you surprised that Russia got the easiest group?
No, do I think there was some under-the-table dealings going on? No, but that's FIFA.
I think Putin's fingerprints are already all over this World Cup to begin with.
And even though it's a mediocre group, I still personally do not have Russia even leaving that group. Personally, I think Uruguay will top the group and Egypt will come in second. It's just such a good story seeing the Egyptian side qualify and watching the reactions of the commentators and the fans in that stadium at Mohamed Salah's stoppage time goal. It just gives you goosebumps.
You said it right there. I mean, that's the man's name. Everyone's been waiting to hear.
Yeah.
You say Egypt, the first person that pops in your head is Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at him at Liverpool. This is what we expected him to do.
Yeah.
He had a great season last year. Although there were doubters who said that he was only able to do that in a weaker league, which, they deem Serie A a weaker league than the Barclays Premier League, or EPL now. And that makes sense. I agree. But at the same time, he's a class player. It doesn't matter which league you're doing it in.
Yeah.
When you have it, and he has it. And he's been showing that throughout the qualification as well.
Yeah.
Taking Egypt to the World Cup, which a lot of people didn't even expect to begin with.
Right. Now do you expect Uruguay to go up?
Yeah, I agree with that. With that. Uruguay first, yeah. That's fair.
Okay, but then next, who are you sponsoring?
It's hard to go against Russia. I see why you back Egypt to go out. It's also hard to go against Egypt, but Russia with the home field advantage, with their first game being a very nice, easy game for them to head into this World Cup with confidence on the back of, hopefully, for them at least, an easy win against Saudi Arabia. And I think they'll continue their form from there with the backing of the home fans. They'll get the second spot, and yeah, some of us may be left a little bit heartbroken by Egypt getting left behind in Group A. That's how I see it, at least.
But I look at Russia and Saudi Arabia; they're two of the lowest ranking teams in the FIFA rankings, and you could go on and on about how those rankings may not be accurate, but
there is some fact to it. There is some fact to it, and Russia, they had an extremely disappointing Euro, and I have to say it was horrible to watch them play.
Yeah, it's not at all exciting. No,
but they were still able to find a way to grind out results, and they'll be able to do that in this World Cup with
the home field advantage. Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on to Group B, we got Portugal, Spain, Morocco, and Iran. My immediate reaction is I think Spain will top the group.
I agree.
I think most football fans can come to that consensus.
Well, I mean, just because they're shown that they can play that type of football again.
Yeah, they're back at they finally. It's a very young core, I think, this Spanish national team, which is taking a way different route than 2010, where they were successful in winning their first World Cup.
Is Del Bosque still their manager?
Del Bosque is not the manager, but you look at their midfielders. There's an overhaul with Isco's one of the main facets of the Spanish national team, and he's very talented. He's young. He doesn't have much experience on the international stage, but I still think they're good enough, definitely, to win the group and potentially go far in the tournament. They've found a very good striker in Alvaro Morata to be the heir to David Villa.
Now with a true talisman, we saw them bow out of the last World Cup.
Yeah, rather.
A lot of that can be attributed to Diego Costa. And you have a different player here in Morata. You have someone that links up well with the midfield, which is important for the striker in this team. Yeah. Diego Costa is more of a lone man. He's the target man. He's the person that you just try to get the ball to. He's not necessarily going to link up play. Morata has no problem coming back into the midfield, helping out the midfield move. That's going to be really helpful for a national side that can move the ball around like these clubs do. As you were saying.
I mean, a lot of them also on the Spanish national team play club soccer together with each other.
Exactly.
And in the same league, so they know each other and their tempos and their skills, and that could obviously is a benefit to any national team.
I expect Spain to play that elevated level of football that they have shown us that they can play once again.
Definitely. Now, this is where I think Portugal have a good side, and Cristiano Ronaldo, I don't want to say that he's coming into the twilight of his career, because he's shown us time and time again that he seems to get better with age.
I'm starting to think he won't have a twilight to his career.
Yeah, exactly.
He's already 32 years old, and you could say that he's in his prime.
100%. He's beating out 26-year-olds on runs, and he's definitely some other sort of athlete.
He's a different type of athlete, exactly.
Yeah.
We haven't experienced an athlete like this that gets to this age at 32. He has the body of a 28-year-old.
Yeah.
And the mind, obviously, of a 32-year-old. You see he's clinical.
Yeah, he's experienced. He knows what to do.
At the same time, though, you have to look at his recent form and start to wonder.
Only 2 goals in the league. It's definitely concerning. But besides that, he also, I don't think Portugal has the supporting cast that he has at Real Madrid, obviously.
Yeah, but you still saw them winning the Euro.
But winning the way they won the Euro was rather, I want to say, unsatisfactory. I got shades of Greece when they won the Euro. They mainly got draws. I think they only won 1 game in regulation the whole tournament.
I agree, but that's Portuguese football. That's how they won their other Euro in 2000. And that's just the way they grind out wins in tournament. They're a great tournament side that's able to grind out wins. And it's like demoralizing to their opponents.
Right.
That they're playing these 90 minutes just to get the tie, to go into extra time and penalties.
Yeah.
It gives them more of a chance to win.
So do you have them going as the second spot in that group?
I have them going as a second spot.
Okay.
And honestly, we haven't given enough credit to Iran.
True, yeah.
But they had nice qualifying.
Yeah, they were the 3rd overall team to qualify after automatically the Russians qualified and the Brazilians.
It's just generally going to be tough for these Asian sides to keep up with the quality.
But you look,
of these European and South American sides.
Which is true. But one point I want to make to that is that Iran has been up there with the big boys of Asia consistently, and this qualification campaign, they absolutely dominated. They did not lose a game. I think the first time they conceded a goal was the very last game against Syria, where they didn't even bother calling up most of their senior squad members, giving some of the youngsters a chance.
And it's not like they don't have players playing in European leagues.
Right, of course, they have a lot of players playing in the Dutch leagues. You have there's Sardar Azmoun, who plays actually in the Russian league, so he should be actually in his element in this World Cup.
He's an interesting player to watch, I have to say.
Yeah. He scored a really nice goal against Bayern Munich in the last Champions League, which is...
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, I watched a couple of YouTube videos of this guy. You might not be able to spell his name.
Yeah.
But if you're able to look up a video of this guy, he's a fun player to watch. They dub him the Iranian Messi.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why. He can definitely move with the ball.
Yeah. But I think one thing for these Asian teams, and I think it applies to really almost every Asian country in this in the World Cup, is that at some point they need to sit at the big boys table, and they need to show that they can handle the competition. All right, Group C: France, Australia, Peru, and Denmark.
It's an interesting group after you look past France. Obviously, they're going to make it out of the group. Australia, Peru, and Denmark all have a legitimate chance of getting that number 2 spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Danes, personally, I think the French take the top spot, like you said, and also have a great chance of going deep in this tournament. But I think Denmark gets the second spot.
In qualifying, they were impressive.
Yeah. For Christian Eriksen, he's phenomenal.
And he has a good supporting cast as well. It's a good team. They're well managed.
Yeah.
And you see that compactness and
they're organized.
Organization that leads to these national teams performing.
Yeah, definitely. But I think France can go definitely deep into this tournament. I think they have one of the deepest squads in all the
I would even
young.
I would even argue that it's too deep. It's so deep that there's no. They obviously do have a core, but there is no set starters, especially in the attack.
Yeah.
It could be a bit demoralizing for people like Mbappe to potentially have to take a game on the bench or start a game on the bench.
Right, but I mean, he'll be 20 years old, 19 years old by the time the World Cup rolls around next year. I mean, I'm sure he understands that he has to give that spot up to someone more experienced like Antoine Griezmann.
Exactly, and there's just so much depth around there.
Yeah.
So it may come to hurt them. We've seen times in the past where France has had trouble within the team. I mean, it would be interesting if that was to happen again.
Yeah.
I could see it, man. Honestly.
I think that the Euros was theirs to lose, personally.
It was.
But I think that comes in with the inexperience. Now they have 2 more years under their belt.
But they showed up. That entire Euro, they showed up. They were there. It's just in the final.
They didn't show up.
They just didn't have the finishing touch.
They beat Germany. They beat the world champions in the semifinals. Nobody expected that. Convincingly, yeah. And, I hope they have some experience, and I think that'll take them the extra mile, maybe into a semifinal spot, maybe even winning the whole thing. I wouldn't count them out of it.
Maybe we have more to talk about that on another day, because I don't know. I have
we'll see. Yeah,
I got my qualms with them.
All right, Group D: Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, and Nigeria.
Another interesting group once you look past Argentina. I like them. I like them a lot this year. If you're gonna pick out France as being a team that goes deep, I would like to pick out Argentina, because this is his year. This is Leo's year.
This is what I think. Argentina is incredibly deep in the attack, but I think that's where their depth ends. You got players like Kun Agüero, you have Messi, obviously, Di Maria, Dybala. How are you going to sort this out? Higuain, well, Messi's obviously going to start every game. That's not a question.
And then it's just
is it Agüero? Is it Dybala? Is it Higuain? Di Maria? Where are you going to play them? Are you going to play someone out of their position just to fit him in the lineup? You have to keep a few egos in check.
It's true.
Because these are all big name players who want to,
and all of this lies on Messi at the end of the day to rally his troops.
Especially as we saw in qualification, he's definitely capable of it.
He is. He also needs their help, but I have to say, an Argentina side with Messi carrying them is good enough. Even if they're not helping him out too much, I think it's good enough to still go deep.
I think this is Messi's last chance.
It is his last chance. This is the last chance he has, at least as a number 9, to win it. Because as we see with the years, Messi keeps falling deeper and deeper. And I call him a number 9, but
he goes deeper. He goes into the wings. He's everywhere. I mean, he's a very versatile player.
So who knows what Messi we see 4 years from now, if we even see Messi in the World Cup 4 years from now. So I really think this is his year. He has to do it now if he's going to.
Fair play. I agree with that. Group E: Brazil, Switzerland, Costa Rica, and Serbia. The Brazilians are one of the main favorites to win this whole thing. I think we're talking about depth. I think they have insane depth. They're back to playing the beautiful football that they're known to.
That samba music. You watch them play, you feel it.
Exactly.
You see Gabriel Jesus and Neymar playing with a smile on their face. That's what we've been missing from that team.
Yeah, and
ever since Ronaldinho and his buck teeth left, we've been missing this.
Yeah, you said Gabriel Jesus. I think finally they found a striker that fits their play style perfectly, and he's developed a long way. playing for Man City.
I miss that. There used to be a time where I was looking up YouTube videos, Nike Joga Bonito videos, because Brazilian football was the rave. It was all it was all there was. There's one amazing video of all the guys in the locker room, Luis Adriano, Roberto Carlos. Yeah. They're kicking a ball around right before the game starts. And it's just that type of stuff that makes you fall in love with football. Definitely. Or at least that's how I initially fell in love with football.
Definitely.
So it's nice to see them playing well again. And I think they have a relatively easy group that they'll be able to deal with. But you look at Switzerland, Costa Rica, and Serbia, they will have a nice battle to get second position.
I think the Swiss will go through with the Brazilians, personally.
I disagree. I think the Serbians are going to go through based on the performances they've showed in qualifying. On the back of Marek Hamšík, who's been having a great season at Napoli. Yeah, it's a really, really nice team over there, and he's showing that he can do the same thing on the national stage as well.
Okay, Group F, some call it the Group of Death. I can agree with them on that. Germany, Mexico, Sweden, and South Korea.
I don't know if this is a Group of Death. It's a pretty disappointing Group of Death.
But I mean, you look at this and you say, okay, Germany are obvious favorites to go through, but I don't think it's as easy a road as people think. Mexico is a young Mexican team.
I love that.
They're full of passion.
You got
they
them right.
want to erase the memory of Robin's penalty against them 4 years ago. And the only way they can do that is not only getting past this group of death, so-called, but also getting maybe to the quarterfinals, which has been their dream.
It's not beyond them. It's not beyond them. This Mexico side can do it. Especially, you're right. They have a young team with a nice defense. I recently saw them play against the United States, and they showed that they were quick on the counter, that they can get on the ball, create chances. It's a good side, but you can't just count out Sweden so quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if the man Zlatan comes back.
What's the latest news on that?
I don't know. I saw a video he put out on his Twitter where he's seeming to be a little more humble, maybe trying to connect with a lot more fans.
I saw it,
but I don't know. I hope
that's a good point, because I've actually seen before in the 2014 World Cup, Zlatan gets more involved in social media. He starts different campaigns for more advertisements just to build the hype around him. Because you said it. I asked you to talk about the Sweden team, and the first person you brought up is a player who's not even on the roster.
Exactly. He's an icon of Swedish football, I think, up there with Larsson and such. I think more so than Larsson. And then looking at the South Korean team, you got to give them some respect as well. They're a good team. You got Son playing for Tottenham. He's doing well. And like we said earlier with Iran, it's time for the Asian teams to sit at the big boys table.
And they qualified reasonably well. To be honest, they have an easier path, so stats can be padded when you're looking at the Asian teams.
Right.
But at the same time, they show that they can kick it with the big boys. Yeah. Possibly make it far, but I don't know.
I don't know. They made it far when it was hosted in South Korea, but I think that was the only.
That goes back to what I was trying to say. It matters when you have the home fans backing you.
So who do you have going out? You have Germany and
I have Germany, Mexico, Sweden, South Korea finishing last.
Okay, so Germany. So the order that it's
that's the order that we're looking at it right now.
All right, Belgium, Panama, Tunisia, and England are in Group G.
England, I play a good amount of FIFA, okay? And there's simulation that goes through on in FIFA.
Right.
And as you simulate the World Cups, England continuously ends semifinals, finals, quarterfinals. They get far in the tournament in FIFA. And that's because if you look at their lineups
on paper,
it looks pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Harry Kane is not to be messed around with. He is a top 3 striker in the world right now.
Yeah.
And if you're not saying that, if you don't agree with that, you're not giving the man enough credit. Just because he is an Englishman, in my opinion. That's the argument that I see from others.
So who do you think? I think that talking about depth again, I think Belgium is ridiculously deep. My only gripe with Belgium, and I said this during the 2014 World Cup, I said this during the Euros, is that this Belgium team isn't a team. They're a group of extremely talented individuals, but they never seem to put it together on...
I believe that they constantly buckled under pressure, because every single year before coming into these major tournaments, analysts and the media would portray Belgium as the team that you shouldn't be surprised if they win the whole competition.
Right.
Every single year they're looked at as that team, and they've continuously disappointed.
Yeah.
This may be the year that they come out with it. And I might be jinxing it as a pundit who's backing them to go far again, but I'm hearing less rave about them. I'm hearing less people get excited about them because of how many times they've disappointed.
That's definitely true.
And maybe, just maybe, with a hope and a dream, Belgium can come through.
All right, but I think regardless, I think Belgium still takes the
top spot in their group,
and then England coming out second.
But I'm gearing England fans right now for disappointment.
Yeah, but
as good as your team looks,
if you're an England fan, you're already used to disappointment. that's just the frank of it. But going real briefly back to that, the Belgium squad. I mean, it's ridiculous how many players they have, isn't it? Like you have Lukaku, you have Mertens, you got De Bruyne, Hazard. It's just ridiculous. You got in the back, you have Alderweireld, you have Courtois in goal, you have Vertonghen. It's just ridiculous. What a team they've put together. Fellaini, if you want to jump on, if you're a Man United fan, Axel Witsel. It's insane, but they all laud of them.
Everyone loves Fellaini. I don't even think it just has to be United fans. I think
yes, with the afro.
Yeah, you see him. I feel like little kids. They look at him. He's like someone they can just idolize. Like even if they don't understand anything about the sport, they just see this huge man with a giant afro. So he's a likable.
He's a lovable guy.
Ambassador to football.
There you go. But regardless, and they all play in the vast majority of them play in the Premier League, so they'll be going up against a lot of their teammates in English national team, especially those Tottenham Belgians playing Harry Kane and Dele Alli and such.
Oh, okay, you're getting me excited.
Yeah, that should be a good game.
I hadn't even thought of that yet.
I'm looking forward to that Belgium-England game. The final group, which I dubbed the Group of Life. It's Group H: Poland, Senegal, Colombia, and Japan. And real briefly, I calling it the Group of Life because I think any two teams, I can make a strong argument for any of those two of those four teams to make it out of the group.
You're right.
You know,
I'm inclined to automatically count Japan out.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
But they played well in the 2014 World Cup. They were an interesting side, but a lot of those key players have aged rapidly.
Yeah.
Kazuki Honda is no longer the player that they could count on anymore.
Yeah.
And they have a group of young players that, again, as I said, played well in the Asian qualifiers, but I'm just not convinced that they're going to carry that on to the 2018 World Cup.
Yeah.
It's a bit more.
Yeah, I think Poland and Colombia will advance out of that group.
I got Senegal and Colombia. Colombia obviously finishing first for me.
Okay. With
Senegal coming in second.
I think... I don't think Colombia. I think Colombia's going to get in second, and Poland's going to get first. I think Lewandowski's he's a goal scoring machine.
It's easy to call out these single players, but I mean I saw Poland play in the Euro, and
they're a pot one team.
They're qualifying. They did well. Lewandowski was. You're right. I mean, if you're going to single out one player from Poland, it's going to be Lewandowski. He played amazingly. Mm-hmm. I would disagree that they finish above Colombia for sure, just based off of Colombia's prowess in the attack. And as for Senegal, I think Senegal is going to get second place based on their athletic ability.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you got Sadio Mane, who's just... I mean, if you want to just look at one person we're looking at on each team, you have Mane, who's just been incredible for Liverpool for the past season, and then...
He's also a smart player. You see him on the ball, and he makes the right pass every time, he makes the right runs.
Definitely.
He's a very smart player.
Yeah. That concludes the groups A through H of the World Cup. Now, can we get a quick hot take? Who do you think is the winner of this World Cup?
Wow, okay.
Just give me one. This is before any of the injuries that could possibly happen, before any of the squad sheets come out, before anything. Give me one person that you think is your Gershom Zeller's favorite to win the 2018 World Cup.
The interesting thing with this World Cup is it's even hard for me to give you a top four. Because you look at the top teams in this World Cup, and yes, they all have incredible talent, but there is the potential to bust in every single top team. Argentina has the potential to bust. Portugal has the potential to bust. Spain, obviously, as they did in the last World Cup, has the potential to bust. The one team that I can say without any hesitation will make it to the top four is Germany.
They're the way they operate, just as a whole federation. Just reading the book Das Reboot, which talks about how the federation just basically restarted. They work as a machine. It's almost inhuman the way they work. It's amazing.
The Mannschaft.
Die Mannschaft, yeah.
That's literally what it means.
It's insane.
But are they my pick to win it all? No, because it's such a boring pick.
I think they're the most solid pick.
They're the most solid pick, but it's so boring, and I do not want to see it. So my pick is Argentina.
Okay. I like... I'm going to go with Le Bleu. I'm going to go with France to win the World Cup. Now, here's one question that I just want to pose before we move on from this topic. If Portugal ends up winning the World Cup, now neither of us, picked them to win, but, nobody also picked them to win the Euros. If they win the World Cup led by a great performance by Cristiano Ronaldo, does Cristiano Ronaldo leapfrog Lionel Messi into being the best player of all time?
In terms of legacy, yes. He'll leave behind a legacy of the most decorated player of all time. He will have won everything on the national level and on the club level. So, yes, in terms of legacy, for sure. But if you're trying to tell me that Cristiano Ronaldo is the best player of all time, and you're trying to say just in terms of individual talent, he has more than Lionel Messi, I'd have to disagree. Of course I'm going to disagree. Because Lionel Messi brings something to the game that no other player in the history of football has. Mm-hmm. He's such an electric player who's changed the face of football for many, and I think is undoubtedly
he is football
the best player of all time.
Yeah. See, that's where I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you, and I'm not going to say right now Ronaldo is better than Messi or Ronaldo's the best player of all time. I think I'm still on the Pele boat. I think Pele is the best player of all time, just solely on the fact of the amount of World Cups he won, and that he led Brazil to win a World Cup when he was 18 years old. Okay.
Yeah, it's impressive, but I have a problem when people just deem Pele as the best player of all time based on the opposition he had to go against.
The opposition doesn't matter. When you're 18 years old in a footballing nation like Brazil, after the disaster they went through the last time. And actually, an interesting thing is that Pele had promised to his father, who was crying when Brazil lost the World Cup in Brazil to Uruguay.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to win one for you. And he goes on at 18 years old.
It's a beautiful story.
18 years old.
What can I say? It's a
Messi wins,
story.
He's 31 years old. I don't know. I just think that's, regardless of competition, to be a professional soccer player, you have to just be on another level. No, regardless.
But this isn't just that. This is not back then as well. Back then there was a lot of semi-professionals,
right?
And especially in Brazil, another thing with Pele, like if you really want to get into his argument, Pele never played in Europe.
They didn't let him play in Europe.
No, there was a path for him to go to Europe.
They dubbed him a national treasure. The Brazilian government dubbed him a national treasure and didn't allow him to go to Europe until they struck a deal with the New York Cosmos in order to sponsor the growth of football in America.
Well, when you put it like that, maybe I can't blame it personally on Pele.
Yeah, but I understand, yeah.
But the same argument is valid that Pele never did it in Europe. He never did it against professional players, in my opinion, at the time.
So then Maradona.
See, but Maradona
did it in Europe.
Yes.
Did it in South America. Did it for Argentina.
And he won the World Cup.
Messi's done it in Argentina.
And it was against professionals. Yep. It was amazing. But Messi as an individual is something else. And let's also take a second to think about the totals, his stats, and how many goals he's scored.
I'm not denying Messi's greatness. I think he's a once-in-a-generation talent. But I still don't think I think if he wins the World Cup, I give him the best player of all time.
It's something that obviously plays a huge role in this. We're talking about Messi, we're talking about Maradona, we're talking about Pele, and the reason they're cemented as those gods of football. They are the two gods of football because they both won the World Cups respectively for their own nations. So yes, it plays a huge part. And if Messi or Ronaldo wants to have their own perch in that top three, they need to win a World Cup.
Something interesting. The people of Argentina love Maradona much more than they love Messi. You go in the streets of Buenos Aires, you say Maradona or Messi, they'll say Maradona 10 times out of 10.
Because a lot of them don't even deem Messi a true Argentinian.
Exactly. He's lived his life in Spain. He's done great things for Barcelona, but he's done nothing for
for the country.
And Maradona has led them to a World Cup, and he as well.
It's fair enough, but it's ignorant. It's ignorant that they have such such a hatred for him as well.
I'm not saying they have a hatred for him.
At times, yeah,
they have a bias against him. Yeah,
there are fans who take it a bit too far, in my opinion. But what are you gonna do? If the hate comes with him, it comes. There's nothing you can do about that.
I mean, the hate comes with being a once in a generation talent.
I think the love doubles it. I mean, we can't sit here feeling sorry for Messi. Mm-hmm. He is loved worldwide, even in Madrid. They sing his name.
I mean, when he scored that last-minute goal at the Clásico, even I saw it coming right from the break. I was like, Messi's on the end of this. Messi's scoring this.
I knew it. I get goosebumps right now just thinking about it.
I knew it. It was ridiculous, and it's just unbelievable. All right, so we're gonna kind of segue into, while talking about Barcelona and Real Madrid, we're gonna segue into our top 10 European power rankings for clubs, and we're going to begin from the bottom with some honorable mentions, and these are essentially teams that you got to look out for.
That just missed out.
Just missed out.
It was really hard for us not to put them in. This is by the way, this is our Strictly Football projection rankings. It's not our individual rankings. If you want to find those, they'll be up on our Twitters. You can follow me.
Yeah, we'll put the Twitter bios.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll put the Twitter bios
in the description of this.
Oh, I don't get to get my own time to put it in.
You want to put? No, go ahead.
It's fine. It's fine. No. You're the anchor. I have to listen to what you say. So okay. Dad says I can't do it, so I can't do it.
So let's go over these honorable mentioned. And these honorable mentions aren't, first of all, in no particular order. These are just 4 teams that potentially have a shot of breaking the top 10 in the coming weeks and are just right off the cusp.
I want to actually put one team out of the group of the other teams that are honorable mentions that I think deserves to be an extra honorable mention.
Sure.
That's International Milan.
Okay.
Sitting first in a very competitive,
surprisingly
competitive Serie A league. Maybe not in terms competitive and amazing football being played,
but within the league itself.
The points are surprisingly close. The point difference between the top 6 is undefeated. Really incredible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Inter Milan, it's an undefeated side with great talents all around, and I think they will have a shot to be in the top 10 next week.
Yeah. I mean, that hurts me. I'm a AC Milan fan, and that hurts me but I agree with you. They're playing some phenomenal football. Now, another Serie A team in this honorable mentions is Juventus, of course. They just beat Napoli over the weekend, I would put them, and which we'll get to that, but they are in our power rankings, and they won.
They had a disappointing start to the season. I think that's why they are so low in these rankings.
Yeah,
but they're picking up form slowly, and even their draw against Barcelona in Turin was an impressive playing. They showed they were able to stop a Messi-less Barcelona pretty easily in the first half, and then once Messi came on, he wasn't able to really make any waves against.
Their defense.
Juventus defense. It's a game of attrition with them. Like throughout the game, the teams get demoralized, and the play becomes so slow that there's not so much offense that they could even create against the Juventus defense.
Another honorable mention is Tottenham. I think the only reason, or one of the main reasons we put them in this honorable mention, is that they're above Real Madrid as of today.
Convincingly beating them, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. In the Champions League rankings. They're not doing so well in the EPL, or they are doing well, but not as...
You watch them play, and you keep up with Tottenham each week, and they play well. And you see games where they tie, and you see games where they win, but you don't expect them to be in the position they're in.
Yeah, I mean, this draw against Watford over the weekend was kind of unconvincing. And, we'll see what they do, but they definitely have the talent there. And I think just because they're succeeding in Europe, and overall English teams are succeeding in Europe after a long time of not succeeding, it's surprising, and it's good to have them there. And our final honorable mention is RB Leipzig, keeping up with Bayern Munich.
It pains you to put Inter Milan in this list. Well, it pains me more to put Red Bull Leipzig in this list. Not necessarily because I hate the team, not because I'm a fan of any team in Germany, but solely based off of their ties to Red Bull.
Yeah.
I just have a problem with it. I will never cheer for a team that has a sponsorship like Red Bull, and I just will root against them. It's not fair to them, but it's just the way I am.
Yeah.
And I will not change. You hear me?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people in the German football supporters are like you.
I live in Austria. I have ties to these Germanic peoples, and all of them feel the same way as me. Seriously. They hate Red Bull Leipzig. People who live in that city have created a separate team years ago, once this merger began, and there are more followers for that lower league team that's having to restart their journey to get into the first division of football from the bottom divisions of the official German football league. Mm-hmm. There's more fans for that small team than Red Bull Leipzig.
Okay. Now we're going to move into our official Strictly Football Power Rankings, starting with number 10. And we put Atletico Madrid here.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of sitting pretty in that third place spot, mm-hmm. which they've been sitting in.
Yeah.
That's like their designated position.
Yeah.
So it's no real surprises for me to see them in the
top 10. They're still undefeated. Granted, they have 6 draws in the league,
which is concerning.
And they're going to be playing in Europe. They're going to be playing Europa League football,
and that's disappointing.
You know, I think that's why they're so low in our ranking.
That's disappointing. But their football hasn't been that bad, and
no, they've been consistent. We'll give them that.
You have some disappointing draws that could have been wins very easily, and Griezmann's been on form. Their team hasn't been massively underperforming. So yeah, it's fair to put them at 10.
Yeah. Number 9, we put Chelsea, again sitting third place in the EPL.
This is a bit disappointing for them. I had them in second on the year, but they haven't showed the ability to win games when it matters the most. That's the problem with Chelsea right now. They're having trouble against top 5 teams in the league, and that's something that hasn't been their mantra. Like, Chelsea may lose or draw a game against the weaker opponents, but against the major teams, they're usually able to grind out a 1-0 win, something like that, under this 5-back defense that Antonio Conte has been running.
Yeah. Number 8, we put in Napoli, who just got their first defeat to Juventus, sitting second.
I love this team. I love all the individuals on this team. I love the way they play. They're very fast. They're very fun to watch. And yeah, we could see them going up these rankings in the week. And there's a reason they're above International Milan, even though they're one spot behind them in the real world. In our rankings, we've seen that Napoli has just outperformed International Milan. And when the two play, I'll be backing Napoli. Regarding doesn't matter if they're playing at home or away. Napoli just has the advantage over International Milan, in my opinion.
Number 7, we put in Valencia, and I just wanted to make a quick point that, yeah, Valencia's sitting 5 points behind Barcelona, second place, but I just feel with the quality of Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and Real Madrid that Valencia won't be able to keep up.
No, but at the same time,
it
also means something.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For them to be in second place, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they have 1 defeat just recently over the weekend, but we'll see what happens. I think they fall off and take their spot in 4th place, qualifying for Champions League, but I don't think they keep up with those 3. Number 6, we're gonna go with Manchester United. That had a great game against Arsenal over the weekend. Came out with the victory.
Maybe for the first 20 minutes it was great.
Yeah, no, I mean, David De Gea is just unbelievable. I mean, he is ridiculous. I think with Manuel Neuer out, injured, I think currently playing,
yes,
I think David De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world.
I think he's beginning to get his credit.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Manuel Neuer just completely changing the position and like being this incredible sweeper keeper, people would regard David De Gea the best goalie in the world because solely based on goalkeeping talents. I think I would rather have David De Gea between the sticks than Manuel Neuer, just because his reflexes are out of this world. You see the saves he makes.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Incredible. Yeah, he has the most shots stopped that were ranked by the EPL as on target shots that had a high goal scoring possibility. He's blocked the most of those shots with 11. So 11 possible goals that could have been scored on Manchester United haven't been scored solely based on De Gea. So
got it. Yeah. Number 5, we're gonna go with Real Madrid. They're sitting 4th in La Liga, tied with Sevilla on points, just above them in goal differential.
5 may be a little generous in these rankings.
I agree with that. I think we put them at 5 because of their just undoubted talent they have
in the
their
big games,
squad.
they show up.
They do. But you look at, like, I don't know, I think they're a sleeping giant right now.
That's a good way to put it.
There is just, they need the one game to get that spark back, and I think, look out Europe, look out La Liga.
See, at the same time, you don't want to dishonor them. Like, you don't want to talk shit on their name, because if you put them lower than top 5, then it's just not true.
It's not Real Madrid. When has Real Madrid been out of the top 5 in the past 4 years?
Exactly. You can't put United above Madrid, because if Madrid played United today,
I think Madrid would win.
You'd have to back Madrid.
Yeah. Number 4, we're going to go with the Bundesliga leading Bayern Munich, who sit with 32 points, 6 points above second place in first.
They get rid of Carlo Ancelotti.
Mm-hmm.
World-class manager. Yeah. And they replace him with someone who I deem even better for their system, which is something incredible.
For their system, yeah.
Jupp Heynckes, I love this man. He's going to work well. He's going to bring their team back to the winning ways. They've been pretty disappointing in the past 3 Champions Leagues, so I think this year they're going to make a nice run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're definitely very strong. I think they lost their first game versus PSG in the Champions League. Speaking of which, sitting at number 3, the Ligue 1 leaders, PSG. I just think we have them there because there's just so much talent on that team.
It doesn't matter if the league they're playing in may have inferior opponents and weaker defenses. They're still an incredible team,
and they've shown it in Europe. They beat Bayern Munich.
You watch them play, and they're electric.
Mm-hmm.
Neymar brings a different aspect to the team. He's a top world talent. There's not a lot of players who can bring to the table what Neymar does.
Yep.
And now that he's on his own, he's really showing that he can also carry a team. So, I'm excited to see how they grow, because there is a lot of space for them to go.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how far they can get.
And this is the top 2 is where you and I have some disagreements.
I don't know how we do, but okay. Please.
I put Barcelona at 2 and Manchester City at number 1, just solely for the fact that Man City has just been unconquerable. They are undefeated in all competitions, as are Barcelona, to be fair. But I think in managerial nature, I think Pep Guardiola is a superior manager. I think you would agree with me on that, regardless. But I don't know. They just play exciting football. They're fun to watch. You got players like Gabriel Jesus, Kun Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling's finding his form. I just think they're a great team to watch. Barca, I'm not disrespecting them. I think they're amazing. I think they're probably going to win La Liga this season with this jump they have. They're also undefeated in all competitions. I think they can make a very strong run at the Champions League. Obviously, they have insane talent with Suarez and Messi. Messi has turned into this, not so much of a goal scoring, although he is scoring, but as just being a facilitator and through a basketball reference, kind of a point guard of that team. He is everywhere. 100%. He does everything, and it's unbelievable. But I just think right now, Manchester City is the better football team.
Okay, you bring up great points, and all of them are in favor of Barcelona being the better team. The only thing that worries me, looking forward to the future, is injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Barcelona have two key injuries right now. Samuel Umtiti is going to miss the next 2 months,
mm-hmm.
and Ousmane Dembele is not set to come back for another 3 months at least. Or I think actually the latest news is that he's coming back in January. But regardless, these are 2 key players. One of them, Dembele, obviously came in to replace Neymar's shoes. And we haven't been able to see yet if he's going to be capable of doing that. But so far, without Neymar, without Dembele, Barcelona's attack still shows that they're able to put up points.
Mm-hmm.
Messi has been facilitating, perfect example comparing him to a point guard, but he's also been scoring. He's right now La Liga Pichichi frontrunner. Also, he's scoring, I think he's second actually, in Champions League goals, possibly first. He's scoring at a crazy rate right now, and I'm going to expect that to continue throughout the year and continue into the World Cup. That's why I have Argentina as the favorites for winning, solely based on Messi realizing that he needs to put the team on his back. Before the argument used to always be made that Messi's only so good because of the team around him and because all his teammates were able to do for him, Xavi and Iniesta. But now with them gone, he's had a couple years with Xavi gone and Iniesta, kind of turning into a different player. He's sort of slower, but he's able to keep that great ball control still. But either way, Messi has had to change the way he plays. Now he has to be the guy from the middle of the field to the final third. He has to be the guy who sets up the play and finishes it. And he's showing that now he can take on that onus and he can do it. So if you want to back individual players on Man City, I can only back one man. I can only back one man on Barcelona, and that's Messi. Yeah. And they've still been able to produce while Suarez has been in a slump. And I don't expect that to continue for much longer.
Yeah.
So I got Barcelona number one based on all that. Man City, okay, I can't not talk about them. They're a great team. I'm impressed by the way they're playing. I honestly didn't expect this to happen. I expected them to crumble. I didn't expect them to be able to keep up with Pep Guardiola's coaching style. He demands a lot from the team, and last year they disappointed because he demanded too much from a group of players who weren't talented enough. But they spent the money, they got the cash, and he found his 11. Mm-hmm. So now I think that team is going to show that they deserve to be in the top 3 rankings for some time to come.
All right. Well, that concludes the segment of our show dedicated to football and soccer. Now we're going to transition to the NFL and American football, starting with the Week 13 scores and a quick recap of all the scores and standings.
It was a good week. It was a really nice week.
It was a fun week. It was a fun week. Let's start off with Thursday Night Football. We had the Cowboys and the Redskins. Cowboys came out with the victory, I think, as expected.
Well, I don't know. They've been struggling. Their O-line has been struggling with pass protection, but the Cowboys have a really specific game style. They want to work out their specific game plan where that they get in the lead early and they just run the teams over with their amazing rushing O-line and their amazing clock management. So they were able to do that in this game. They got on the lead early and they were able to just keep it up with. Yep. Behind Alfred Morris. Without Zeke. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it's against a struggling Redskins team.
Yeah.
They've been struggling to find offense this whole season. So, not everything can just be put on the back of Kirk Cousins. He can't just carry the whole team. He still needs people to make plays for him out there. And that's just not happening, especially with Chris Thompson gone, who was really, like, his only playmaker in the outfield.
All right. Moving on, the Sunday games. Rams-Cardinals. Rams came out with a 32-16 victory in Arizona. And, they keep their dominance in the NFC West. I think they're...
Oh, Rams.
Yeah. We're from LA, and we want a team to see the team succeed.
We didn't expect this?
No, yeah. I'm a Rams fan. I'll be honest with you. No, nobody expected this out here in LA. They've developed a very solid new fan group with this win, as with any...
Sean McVay.
Yeah, definitely. He's, I think, Coach of the Year. I think he has that a lock. It's just unreal what he's done. They've turned from the lowest producing offense last season to one of the highest producing offenses this season. Jared Goff is looking like an outside MVP candidate.
Well, everyone was calling him a bust. They couldn't stop running his name through the muck. Yep. Comparing him to Josh McCown, who now, also look at him, is an amazing quarterback this season. So it just goes to show that players, they can have horrible seasons, but it doesn't deem the rest of their careers.
Yeah. I mean, look at the scheme. He was put in Jeff Fisher's scheme, which is just, I think Jeff Fisher should be fired again. I think he should be fired again just for kicks to show how bad it was his fault. It was his fault. Of
course it was. Every Jeff Fisher
Todd Gurley was on the team last year. Jared Goff was on the team last year.
It's every Jeff Fisher team. It just has struggles and is boring to watch and is an 8-8 team every single year. Mr. 8-8, Jeff Fisher.
Aaron Donald, I think he's producing a Defensive Player of the Year candidate season.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I mean, the whole Rams defense plays as a great unit. Yep. They have a nice secondary and they play well. Yeah. And the Cardinals, they never had a chance to begin with, but it was nice to see the Rams deliver in a game that we all expected.
They completed the season sweep. The Vikings keep on chugging against the Falcons.
They 14-9. Had the ball the whole game. You watch this game, and the ball was in the Minnesota hands the entire time. They're able to just pound and pound on offense, and on defense, their defense is able to create turnovers or create a third down situations where the Falcons, which is the best team converting on third downs, just weren't able to convert. Mm-hmm. So
no, they're very. I think they're also a huge. I think they're also a huge surprise with backup quarterback Case Keenum, not Teddy Bridgewater. No, but all I'll shout out to the Vikings. You know, they're playing some great football. Ravens beat the Lions 44-20, which is surprising because the defense has been the focal point of this Ravens team this whole season, but their offense showed out this week.
Matt Stafford, something's wrong with this man.
Well, I mean, he got injured.
Yes, he did get injured. He did get injured. That's not what's wrong with him. I'm not saying that's what's wrong with him. It's like he's only able to produce his best football at the end of the game. And, well, look here. He wasn't able to finish the game, and the Lions weren't able to come out with the W.
Patriots at Bills, a convincing 23-3 victory. I think everybody expected this.
Yeah,
TB12.
The Bills gave the Patriots a bit of a scare in the first half.
If you want to call it that, yeah.
If you want to call it that, yeah. But after Tyrod went out, there was no way for the Bills to mount a comeback, and the Patriots were able to get in the end zone.
Gronk was handed a suspension for that slam. I think rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. It was definitely messed up. I hear a lot of people talking about a double standard and why he wasn't given a larger suspension.
Yeah.
I want to disagree with that in Gronk's case. I think a 1-game suspension is fine.
Football's still a physical game. You gotta. It was definitely belligerent. It was after the play. It was no place for that. But still, you know. Niners beat the Bears 15-14. Jimmy G got his first win as a San Francisco 49er.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't every 49er point off of a field goal?
I don't think they had any offensive touchdowns. But you know, this is Bears in Soldier Field in December.
It's impressive that a quarterback on the San Francisco 49ers was even able to get their team in field goal range.
Yeah, give credit to Jimmy Garoppolo. He's 26 years old. He's the protege to TB12. He passed for 26 of 37 with 293 yards. That's a respectable.
No, he had a good game.
Although giving 1 interceptions and 0 touchdowns, but it's still for a rebuilding San Francisco side.
He had a good game with a pretty whack wide receiver core.
Yeah,
he was able to do enough. And I think it's exciting for 49ers fans looking in the future. Mm-hmm, maybe not initially, but next year I think they'll do much better than they have this year.
Yeah, definitely. Packers beat the Buccaneers 26-20 in overtime. Brett Hundley, not a great game, but he did show flashes. I think has a potential to be I don't want to say the heir to Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers just set such a high standard.
Yeah, and we have some time before Aaron Rodgers even leaves.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of things that can happen in the NFL. I don't want to say that Brett Hundley takes the reins over just yet.
No, I don't think so either. But I think if Brett Hundley can lead the Green Bay Packers to a wild card spot in the NFC.
No, he won't even be able to do that. I think.
No, but I think if he does, if you make a solid case for him becoming and maybe not the Packers quarterback, but a viable franchise quarterback, because he's young.
Well, all Brett Hundley has to do is beat the Cleveland Browns.
Well, yeah,
and then the Packers have a shot to make it into the playoffs. And that's when Aaron Rodgers will start playing again. They've reactivated him off the IR, or he's expected to be reactivated off the IR.
Just tossing a football around in practice or before the game is a lot different than putting on the pads and playing under center.
But the organization will be smart about it, and they're not going to put Aaron Rodgers in if he can't go. And
because you don't want to risk that. Once he's in
and once he can go, he will be the starter. He will get dubs for that team. I'd like to see. I don't know anything about Brett Hundley becoming some sort of superstar in that.
I didn't say superstar. I'd say he has potential. He can be molded. Jags beat the Colts 30-10. Blake Bortles threw for 309 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Well, it was Saxonville for this one, I think. The Jacksonville offense looked good, but their defense is ridiculous. The way they can get out to the passer is incredible.
Leonard Fournette scored his first touchdown for the first time in 6 weeks, finally getting back with a good performance. They're a solid team, and also another surprise team with the Rams and Minnesota.
It's true.
The Jaguars, nobody really expected
Blake Bortles obviously is a huge piece of garbage.
Yes.
But recently, he's been a piece of recycled garbage. He's not been that bad. I've actually haven't been biting my nails in like anxiousness when I watch him throw the football anymore.
Yeah. The Dolphins beat the Broncos 35-9. Neither team is very good. Neither team is going to make a playoff push. I think, Jay Cutler with the 2 touchdowns that he had, he coupled that with 2 interceptions. I don't think this is...
The Denver offense just isn't able to create plays to move the chain even. If they can move the ball towards field goal range, it's like a positive for that team. I don't know. I'm not convinced by the Broncos.
Jets beat the Chiefs. Chiefs continue this downward spiral, losing 38-31.
I think they're actually in the midst of stopping that downward spiral. I don't think they're continuing in it. I think this is the end of it, actually. It was a tough game for them to lose, but Josh McCown just put in a world-class performance.
Then down the road, right here, the Chargers, though, were on an upward spiral, took out the Browns 19-10.
Well, I mean, you saw this. The highlight from this game to me was Flash Gordon. He was able to get it done against the Chargers secondary. That was awesome to see. But Phillip Rivers had a great game. He was able to find Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen was able to make plays. And the Chargers defense was able to do enough. They got a couple of sacks late in the game, and that was it for them.
The Titans beat the Texans 24-13. Texans, after Deshaun Watson went down, I don't think anybody expected them to do well. But the Titans are, in the AFC South. Yeah, they're tied for first.
They're tied for first, but at the same time, they began to disappoint.
Kind of shaky, I think.
Yeah, exactly. That's the case in the NFC, in my opinion. I think all the teams
in the AFC.
In the AFC, in my opinion, all the teams are a bit unconvincing.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I say besides the Pats and the Steelers. We're gonna move.
No, even the Steelers. I have to tell you, they're a bit unconvincing to me. I don't
sitting 10-2.
Yeah, but I don't see them going far in the playoffs. They have obviously an amazing offense, but you can't base everything off their offense. Their defense, with missing Joe Hayden, has shown a lot of holes, which the Cincinnati Bengals were able to find last night.
But ultimately, unsuccessfully.
Ultimately, they were unsuccessful because that offense is able to put up points, but their defense will not be able to continue to play the way they do against elite quarterbacks. I don't call Andy Dalton an elite quarterback. In the playoffs, they will be playing against elite quarterbacks, and those boys will be able to get the W against the Steelers.
Panthers-Saints, 31-21. Saints bounce back from a loss.
Yeah, Saints keep marching. They're doing well. They're doing well this
comfortable
year.
Lead. I don't think anybody's going to catch them in the NFC South, although they're only a game above. I don't see any signs of them slowing down. Giants lost to the Raiders. This is I don't know how to take this win because Raiders should have won, and they did, but they gave up 17 points to the Giants, and
you're saying that 17 points they gave up. I mean, it's not like the Oakland.
And Geno Smith was the quarterback.
Yeah, of course.
Geno Smith's the quarterback, and you give up 17 points.
He wasn't that bad. He showed he was able to find Evan Ingram a couple times.
They're sitting at 2-10.
Yes. They are sitting at 2-10.
I don't know. The Giants have just been unconvincing. Finally, Sunday Night Football. I think this was the surprise of the week. Eagles beat the Seahawks. Or my bad. Seahawks beat the Eagles 24-10. Without the Legion of Boom.
Surprise of the week? No, but we were all reminded that Russell Wilson.
Oh, jeez.
Is an elite quarterback. Russell Wilson.
I think Russell Wilson is second place in the MVP.
Yeah, he is.
Talk.
I think actually
Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, then Carson Wentz.
I think now he is actually in the number one spot. I thought Wentz was in the number one spot before.
I think Wentz was in the number 2 spot, and then they switched after this weekend.
So you always had TB12 up there.
I had TB12 as first place.
I don't know. I wouldn't be able to do that. It's just
he's just so consistent.
Exactly. Maybe he's won it so much, and his team has always done so well that it's easy for me to count him out of the MVP race and to not put him in at number 1. But I think that Russell Wilson right now has shown me that he is the most valuable player. In the league.
He is the for his team.
He has the most rushing yards on that team, obviously the most passing yards, but he's also been involved with every single touchdown except for one.
Except for one, yeah, I was about to bring that up. And then we move to Monday Night Football. Steelers crank out a 3-point win over the Bengals, 23-20. As poor as the Steelers played this game until the end, we have to talk about, this goes beyond football, and we have to talk about Ryan Shazier's injury.
Yeah.
That he was devastating injury. He was carted to the hospital. He's as of right now he's still in Cincinnati being examined by professionals. It was scary. It was a bad hit. You saw him immediately clutch his back.
It's these times in football. It's after that hit. It's kind of hard for you to watch the team play the next snap.
Yeah, I mean, what goes through the players' minds? You think they're playing this extremely physical game that we love to watch.
Yeah.
That comes around and immobilizes a player, possibly for the rest of hopefully not. We're all praying.
Not.
We're all praying for Ryan Shazier's quick
recovery. There has been a little bit more good news coming in. We're currently talking about this Tuesday and in Tuesday morning, and we've gotten a little bit more good news that's showing that there's signs of possibly it not being the worst case scenario that many of us had feared, which is good to hear. Yeah. But like you brought up a good point that you were saying that this is a part of football, and yes, it's a sport that we all enjoy, but things have to change, and there are certain safety precautions that need to be enforced for this game to continue.
Mm-hmm.
There's like two sects of fans in football right now. In my opinion, you kind of see the older fans who are a bit more into the old school type of players, and they get a bit mad when new NFL regulations are put in that enforce safety and stop players from hitting these big hits or having these cheaper shots. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason that we're doing this, and I don't want Ryan Shazier to be a poster boy, and I don't want to use Ryan Shazier's injury to push an agenda. Mm-hmm. That's the last thing I want to do, because I have so much respect for that man, and he's in my thoughts right now.
Yeah, he's in thoughts and prayers of all of us. We obviously want to all see him back and well, even if it is without football. We want to see him walking. We want to see him being able to play with his kids. That's obviously holds priority. Another topic of conversation that went on during this game was Juju Smith-Schuster's hit, which he received a one-game ban for later on. And like we said before, with the NFL fans talking about the hit,
it's one of those hits that back in the day, someone sees that and they say, "Hell yeah, way to go! Way to make a play on the defensive players. Way to make a hit on the defensive players." And I mean, that's the type of thing I was talking about with these two sects of fans. It needs to stop. It's one of those things that you just need to stop. These fans that like these big hits. I mean, I understand it. It's sort of like a primal enjoyment of man to enjoy big hits. That's why boxing is popular. That's why UFC is popular. That's why wrestling is popular. But it's just not safe, and it's
raw.
This is not wrestling. This is not fake. This was a real hit. Juju Smith-Schuster, he might be a rookie. He might be a little kid. But that was a big hit.
Maybe trying to put himself out there.
I think so, especially
trying to make a name for himself.
I mean, especially within this rivalry, for sure.
Yeah.
This is not the first time the Steelers and the Bengals have gone at each other's throats. So Juju Smith-Schuster probably just wanted to show his team that, look, I'm on your side. I'm ready to fight too.
Right. 1 game suspension he received. His appeal was rejected. You think that's a fair?
Yeah, of course.
Punishment?
Of course, it's fair. I'm disappointed in him because he really didn't need to do this.
Right.
He's shown that he is a member of this team already through his amazing performances.
He's receiving plays.
I love this kid. He's a fun player to watch.
Yeah, he's a fun player off the field to follow as well.
But this is the type of stuff that makes you lose respect for a player like him.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on into the playoff picture and who's in, who's out, who's in the hunt. As of right now, looking at the AFC, you have your division leaders in the Patriots, the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Titans, with the Jags and the Ravens having wildcard spots. And in the NFC, you have the Eagles and the Vikings, Rams, Saints, and then the Seahawks and the Panthers with the wild card. We're just going to discuss the playoff picture a little bit. It was a surprising season, like we've said. A lot of turnarounds within the season. If you want to look at one in specific, we got the LA Chargers right down the street. They went from a 0-4 start to now improving to 6-6. They're definitely in the hunt. They're hot, and it's a 3-way tie at the AFC West between the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders.
Now that we're heading into the second half of the season, we're able to look at how the teams have progressed. And throughout the first half, if the Chargers were to get a W, it was based solely off of the play of their amazing defense. That's continued, but the reason we've seen them get more and more wins in this second half is because their offense is also coming to life. Phillip Rivers is able to make plays now. He's able to move the chains, and he's able to get his team in a winning position, which is all that matters for that team, because once they're in a winning position in the match, their defense is savage enough to keep other teams from not scoring.
Yeah, they're definitely a very strong team. Raiders seem to have woken up a little bit, not as people thought maybe before the season as a Super Bowl contender. I certainly thought they were a Super Bowl contender.
I think it has to be said that Derek Carr has just been disappointing this
season.
season.
He's not the same Derek Carr.
He's had to deal with injury as well through a couple of games this season, but not all of that can be attributed to his poor form.
Yeah,
I think there's trouble within that Raiders team. Obviously, their defense is nowhere to be found. It's really a lackluster defense, and if their team wants to make a push for the playoffs, they're gonna have to step it up both defensively and offensively.
Right. Looking into the Bills, they're also in there at 6-6 as well. Can they make a push?
No, especially not with Tyrod Taylor's most recent injury in the last game. Listen, if Nathan Peterman gets out on the field,
you've lost the game.
You've lost the game. We can't expect him to throw 5 interceptions.
Right.
But I'm sorry. He did that in one half of football, less than one half of football. Okay, I don't expect you winning any games with him.
Yeah. All right, moving over to the NFC. Right now, the Panthers and the Seahawks sit at the wild card spot, with the Falcons, Lions, Packers, Cowboys all in the hunt right there.
The hunt is a little bit more interesting than who's in my opinion, right now. Yeah,
it's fun. It's going to be fun to watch. The Falcons playing well. The Packers with maybe a resurgence of Aaron Rodgers coming back. What I want to look for is, and I'm not just saying this because we're based in LA and we're supporting the Rams, is this NFC West, because the Rams sitting at 9-3 and the Seahawks sitting at 8-4. I think both of them are going to make the playoffs. One of them is going to be as the division leader. One of them is going to be as the wild card.
I agree.
Now, the Rams play the Philadelphia Eagles in the Los Angeles Coliseum this Sunday.
Yeah,
that's a huge game.
That's a huge game. That's a season-defining game right there.
Even more so, actually, I believe that the game against the Seahawks up in Seattle is going to be a very, very, I want to say, division-defining game. I say the winner of that game, because right now the Rams are one game above the Seahawks. You lose to Philadelphia potentially, and the Seahawks maybe win.
Yeah,
the division's all tied up, and the tiebreaker goes to the Seahawks.
Definitely.
So that game up in Seattle,
is
the biggest game of the season for both these teams.
And as a Ram fan, looking forward, I have a bit of comfortableness.
Yeah,
looking forward to
our record
also because of how we've played in the past against the Seahawks in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow the Rams always find a way to win in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, this is a new Rams team as well.
It's a new Rams team. It's a better Rams team than we've seen in the past 10 years for sure.
Looking at the Vikings sitting pretty at 10-2 up there, getting a bye in the first round. Realistically, though, I say they keep it up. I say they get into the playoffs, I think, almost without a doubt, a shadow of a doubt. Well, and I think they can potentially keep their division, their first round bye.
If they get home field advantage, they'll have home field advantage in the first and second round of the playoffs,
as well as the Super Bowl. If they make it,
which is a scary thing to look at.
The Skull Chants it's an intimidating atmosphere.
It's an intimidating atmosphere that will help them make that playoff push.
They had the best offense at the time, the Rams, come in, and they absolutely shut them down.
Yeah. Like,
that's insane.
It's how they're able to manage the clock through. That's how they win all these games. It's they manage the clock through their running game and their amazing defense. They got a shutdown corner in Xavier Rhodes, and they have a great defensive front.
The thing with the Vikings is that they don't really have any superstars aside from maybe Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs is a superstar, maybe, but there's another receiver on that team that I'd rather be talking about. white chocolate, Adam Thielen. That's the man who's doing it. When you're getting compared to Randy Moss, when you're putting up the first 1,000-yard season for the Vikings since '84, you're pretty impressive, man. And I don't want anything to be taken away from him. So I don't actually. Yeah, I disagree with you completely. You're focusing on Diggs instead of Thielen. Thielen is the man to focus on in this team if there's a star.
All right. I mean, Rudolph as well I think he's a very solid tight end.
Yeah, he's great.
I think they're a very balanced team. That's what I was trying to say.
It is a balanced team.
And then moving over to the Eagles, they just got their second loss against Seattle, which we talked about earlier. But like I said, they're going to play the Rams. If they lose that game, they're right back in it. As I don't even say possibly, I think because Eagles play the Rams. They lose. They move to 10-3. Rams move to 10-3, and then there's that hunt again. Now, not only do the Rams want to play for that division, and the Eagles want to play for the Eagles now want to play for that first round bye.
Yeah, of course.
And the Rams now want to play for that. For everybody, I think the NFC this year is much better than the AFC. There's just a gulf in class. They're just stomping over.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it.
It's fun to watch. You have a lot of interesting storylines.
You look at it and. You look
with
at the
quality
Saints,
looking at the Saints coming back on their running back duo.
Exactly. I mean, you look at the quality of the NFC teams in the hunt. I love the Falcons. I love the Packers. I love the Cowboys. And, it's easy for you to dismiss them at first, but the Lions are not a team that's easily dismissible. When they have Stafford under center, it's a tough team to beat, especially in the playoffs. Because he doesn't give up without a fight. And that's what you need in the playoffs. Heart and fight. That's what Stafford brings.
All right, yeah. Definitely interesting to look to our the games coming up and the playoff hunt in the future.
You hit me with the early prediction for the World Cup final.
Yeah.
What's your prediction for the Super Bowl?
The two teams in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I say from the AFC come the Patriots. And I'm gonna give some love to the Saints.
The Saints.
I think that as much as I want to see the Rams there,
Saints-Pats final.
I'd say it's a Saints-Pats final. You got just because maybe the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. I'm only saying it because of the experience of their teams and their head coaches. You look at Sean McVay. This is his first year, and what he's already done is incredible.
Sure.
Nobody we're more than satisfied with what he's done up to now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm witnessing history.
Yeah. You look at the Eagles, Carson Wentz, like Jared Goff. They're both second-year quarterbacks. I don't think, as good as they are, I don't think they can carry each of their teams into a Super Bowl. They don't have that
That's a legitimate
experience.
Point. That's a legitimate point.
Vikings, Case Keenum's a glorified backup.
But that's
he's
not
proved
fair.
No, but he's done things. But this is his first time he's actually showed out. And I don't think that these playoff football is different than the regular season.
It's true. That's true.
I think the Saints with Drew Brees, a veteran, a consistent 3,000-yard passer.
Yep.
That devastating running duo of Kamara and Ingram.
Consistent 4,000-yard passer.
4,000 yards. Yeah.
Anyways.
You got Michael Thomas.
Yeah, of course.
Their defense is a little in rags right now, but they're gonna get back from injury.
They've stepped up as well. Kenny Vaccaro is looking great at the safety position, and they have nice pass rushers. And Cameron Wake has showed that he can still get out there and get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a good defensive team.
And then
Seattle,
as well. Like we said earlier, Russell Wilson, MVP candidate. He's playing incredible. The only thing I can bug Seattle about is their running game.
And their depletion in the secondary.
But they were able to stop Carson Wentz and the Eagles. Like I said, you don't know where experience lies. So I think it'll be a Saints-Patriots final. Or a Super Bowl, rather. What about you? What are your...
I like the Pats. I think the Pats will get in there. But it's going to be Pats-Seahawks, in my opinion. And I think the Seahawks are going to take it.
You think the Seahawks... Okay.
The Seahawks will beat the
Tom Brady won't
Patriots.
get a 6th ring.
Tom Brady will not get a 6th ring. Not with this team.
Okay.
No.
Interesting. All right. And that concludes our section on the NFL. Thanks for joining us on the Strictly Football Podcast. This is our first episode. We're really excited about the direction this podcast is going to go and ideas for the future.
Yeah, man, I had a great time here. It was fun talking about the World Cup group tables, and it was fun talking about the NFL playoff picture. I'm excited to meet you again on Thursday morning. That's when our next podcast is coming out. For the future, our podcast will be coming out Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings. Please check us out. We'll always be under the name Strictly Football because we are here talking strictly football. Goodbye.